impact of digital technologies on enabling shop floor productivity and accessibility. Accessibility inclusive design approach is an approach when we design our products and services that include all human patterns and enable people with even with disabilities to enjoy our products and services. When we add captions to our videos, we not only help people with hard of hearing, but we extend that benefit people with language barriers and a kid learning to read. When we include ramps on pavements, not only it helps people with wheelchair access, but it also helps people, parents with prams or delivery people with trolleys. Having a similar sort of approach within manufacturing environment, when we look at our investments in the technologies, not only could we help the sector become more productive, improve safety, quality, but also help bridge the talent gap by including everyone within it. We hope this webinar, we can start the discussion around it and help move this sector forward. My name is Awais Munawar. I'm a Knowledge Exchange Fellow at National Manufacturing Institute Scotland, focusing on augmented, virtual, and simulation. And I'm joined by Nicole Ballantyne from MESTEC. Nicole, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, thanks, Awais. I'm Nicole, and I work for an organisation called MESTEC. MESTEC are a manufacturing execution software company. Previously, I've worked in the manufacturing industry for over 20 years, and lastly in Innovate UK on the Made Smarter Innovation Programme. So I'm very used to doing these webinars as a Innovate person, but not as a real company. So I hope I don't blurb too much, but thank you for having me, Awais.
Cheers, Nicole. Thank you for joining. Some housekeeping. This webinar is being recorded and will be made available on our YouTube channel. Your microphones and webcams are turned off during the session to avoid any background noise. We would ask you to type any questions into our session, and we will look to answer them at the end of the webinar. So who we are the National Manufacturing Institute Scotland. NMIS is a group of industry-led manufacturing research development facilities supported by a network of partners all across Scotland. And our focus is to boost manufacturing community. It is where industry, academia, and public sector come together to work on groundbreaking manufacturing research, transforming productivity levels, making companies more productive, and helping boost the skills of our current and future workforce. Our ambition is to increase productivity by reducing barriers to innovation, help grow the economy by galvanizing investment and increasing manufacturing competitiveness within Scotland and internationally. We want to create more jobs, strengthen the supply chains all across the country, provide leadership, build collaborations with companies, enhance capability to influence adoption, exploitations of manufacturing opportunities to help boost Scotland's vision of net zero emissions economy by 2045. We want to inspire and attract talent and equip current and future workforce with the skills they need for the manufacturing and engineering community need. We are operated by University of Strathclyde, but we are part of a larger catapult, high value manufacturing catapult centre all across the country. We are supported by Scottish Government, UKRI, Scottish Enterprise, Highland and Islands Enterprise, South of Scotland Enterprise, Skills Development Scotland, Renfrewshire Council, and Scottish Funding Council. So as you can see, we are supported by a wide variety of partners to help deliver that vision. To start with, we're a community. So we're NMIS Capability Research Centres. I'm part of Digital Factory, which is our new facility coming in. There's a Manufacturing Skills Academy focusing on the skills and required light manufacturing centres looking at lightweighting of products and composite design, and our core Advanced Forming Research Centre looking at forging and forming technologies. And then we have the NMIS Capability Network to look at wider network outside of NMIS. With the research, we look at working with communities and collaborations, and one of the close collaborations we have currently is with MESTEC. We're working on them with a couple of projects now, and Nicole, I'll pass it to you now for introducing MESTEC.
Thanks. So yeah, I've said we are part of the NMIS community by being involved in several projects. One being the COREF project, which we'll hear about at the end of this presentation, the connected reconfigurable factory. Just a little bit about MESTEC. We are the world's first truly multi-tenant software as a service based manufacturing execution software. All you need is a browser and you can start your MESTEC journey. You don't need expensive capital equipment and servers to start that journey. MESTEC it has been in-house developed in the UK, so it's a UK developed software and fully owned and developed in the UK. And we absolutely 100% focus on manufacturing performance. So what MESTEC does, it sits below the ERP layer, which is kind of at enterprise level, and we sit below that, providing visibility, information, metrics of manufacturing in real time to the shop floor. This visibility provides invaluable performance, efficiency, capacity, quality data that management can use and react to and act on as it happens. Instead of when it's reported to management, if ever, or at some point in the future. So we can report on OEE, asset performance, labour productivity, etc., etc. There's a selection there of our referenceable customers. For the guys that are online in Glasgow, I saw one of the Agreco customers has logged into this. Hi, Francisco. So Agreco in Glasgow is one of our clients, as is Thales also in Glasgow. More about our capability later on. Thanks, Gervais.
Thank you, Nicole. To start with, let's look at some of the challenges and opportunities within the manufacturing sector. We know manufacturing sector within UK currently lags behind in productivity compared to US, Germany, and France. One of the leading factors of the productivity gap is investment in technologies and adoption of digital transformation to help bridge that, improve the productivity gap. To boost that productivity and adoption of digital transformation, the sector needs the right skills to help the industry move forward. And there's a skill gap as well, as more in the coming years, we'll see more people looking at retiring, and the sector is desperately need for the talent pool. We know that some of the most innovative companies in the world are one of the most diverse and inclusive companies. Manufacturing sector in generally has a way to go to improve diversity and inclusivity on the shop floor. Looking at the disability employment gap, currently 19% of the UK people consider themselves to have some sort of disabilities, and people with disabilities are twice as unlikely to be unemployed. So we have one sector that's looking for some talent to come in, and we have one sector demographic that's looking for work and looking for opportunities to be part of that industry. And then the final one wanted to highlight was insufficient training and support. When we design our shop floors, when we design our processes, we are focused on our own biases. So we design our own ability, and by not including having an approach towards accessibilities, we don't have enough sufficient training and support for people for a wide range of skill sets to come into our workforce and be productive, be able to enjoy the work and be safe in the environment. So there's opportunities, there's also challenges. The questions next comes as how do we start and where do we begin?
Thanks, Gervais. So where do we start? I think, I mean, specifically to this webinar, making our environments more accessible is a point of continuous improvement. And all journeys should be about continuous improvement, improving the workforce, making it more accessible, making it more user-friendly, helping the operators and helping the manufacturing lines to run better and to run quicker, and essentially save money and improve productivity. When we talk about digital transformation in the round, it's like eating an elephant. Where do you start? And there's many tools to appraise how to build your digital strategy. This one that I'm showing here is just one. The reason I like it so much is, and I wanted to share it with you, is because a third of this program, the Smart Industry Readiness Index, a third is all about the organisation. It's all about the people, and people are such a big factor. This webinar is about it, but our resource and labour as a whole is probably the most expensive part in many manufacturing facilities. So taking into account our people and ensuring that they can work efficiently and productively, and they have the skills to do so, is so important. And in the Smart Industry Readiness Index, it takes up a third of the whole programme. A third is around process, so kind of that vertical integration up and down within the factory, but also you've got the horizontal integration across all your supply chains. And then the product life cycle, if we can design things better in the first place, then there won't be waste further on down the line. And then there's only a third based on technology. So many people think that, let's do Industry 4, let's digitally transform. It's not about those sexy robots or about those AR, VR glasses. That is just one small part of the whole picture. We always have to have a reason why are we going on this journey? Why do we want to digitally transform? And there either has to be a social benefit or a pounds and pence benefit. So just a little bit more about the Smart Industry Readiness. Basically, it comprises of a suite of frameworks and tools to help manufacturers, regardless of their size or industry. And it helps them to start, scale and sustain their digital transformation. Under the Global CIRI initiative, the World Economic Forum, in collaboration with international partners, started building the world's largest data set and benchmarks on the current state of manufacturing. And by democratizing the knowledge of what they're learning through this program, they aim to fundamentally reform the manufacturing community's approach to industrial transformation, from one that is ad hoc and anecdote based to one that relies on a standardized methodology supported by data. So building on this, there's a report which we've put the link in there, Avase, but I can, no one can click on it. So maybe I'll put it in the chat later on. But basically, there's a really interesting insights report, and it draws on data from about 600 manufacturers about their journey to date. And that was published last year, and it's massively grown in terms of the data set since then. So, as I said before, there always has to be a why. For me, there has to be a why. Why are we doing this? We're not just doing digital transformation for transformation's sake, and we're either doing it to improve inclusivity or to increase productivity. So what a framework or a journey, a transformation roadmap gives us is, where are we today? Where are we in terms of maturity? What's the most important thing to us? Where do we want to be? So having that vision for your organisation, for your manufacturing facility, where do we want to actually get to in the end, and why? What do we want to do and why do we want to do it? How important is it to us is a really key characteristic. Is it urgency? Is it super short term, or is it just a long-term aim that we have? How much resource do we want to dedicate to it? Super important when you're making investments. And what areas should we focus on? And this program, the Smart Industry Readiness Index, takes all of those things into account across these three main pillars and the 16 sort of subsections, to enable you to build a transformation map that is for you and dedicated by you. So it kind of ticks all your KPIs and gives you a plan to help you eat that elephant. Over to you, Ace.
Thanks, Nicole. So after a smart manufacturing index, you start to have some sort a roadmap for your company, and how does digital technologies enable that? Firstly, our recommendation is to first move away from paper into digitize, start gathering insight into your business, and like Nicole said, understand how does your business globally, how competitive is your business globally compared to other companies in a similar sector. So start understanding your processes, where do you need the support, where does your employees need support, where does the investment needs to go, and then after using data-driven decision making, you can start looking at the areas of investment. And when we start looking at the investment opportunities, by having an approach or of a vision of having an accessibility as an approach to it, you can start using that criteria to judge the technology. One technology could be looking at the cognitive load on a person. Devices like archived and projected work instructions can help guide complex assembly work for the workers. It can improve, help people to build complex assemblies by guiding them through it. But it also the side benefit is you also have quality built in because only the right work process is carried out. By introducing cobotics, not only it improves efficiencies and it supports people with ergonomics needs, it can build up efficiencies, automate repetitive tasks, and allow the workers to support on more of the continuous improvement and start looking at areas they can improve. We use smart bots, chatbots in our daily life. This is one of the areas that the sector could look at, but providing voice support to workers so they're able to request information, ask for support or raise orders, maybe in their own languages, and that gets translated and integrated into your businesses. And that's something that'll be quite an exciting research moving forward. And virtual reality. By introducing VR, we're able to train people remotely, help them understand the operations to be part of, learn about that job before they come onto the manufacturing shop floor. That not only makes the worker more confident to come onto the shop floor, it can also provide insights into is your facilities catering for people that workers needs. And the other benefits of utilizing virtual reality is you're able to virtually commission a line. You're able to de-risk investment, able to see your whole production requirements in VR, bring collaborators in from globally and help you make those decisions before investing in the physical product. And finally, another topic could be providing data to the worker in a most accessible way, from IoT data to augmented reality, to enable the worker to make the decisions that they fit them best by understanding the environment and by understanding the job they have. So these are some of the technologies that enable it, and on from the backbone of it by understanding your process and understanding where the investment is required. I'll pass on to you, Nicole.
Yeah. So I just wanted to talk here about how there's nothing really that new about what we're doing, but we are moving from potentially mechanical support to more digital support. And I just wanted to put this side note in about Omron. So last year they celebrated 50 years of their CIO factory, which was a factory experiment explicitly designed to cater for accessibility and opening the manufacturing environment to disabled workers. For the older listeners, I'm sure that you'll remember Remploy. I know that it's still running in Scotland, but I think it's called something else now. I'm not sure about in England, but back to Omron. So The Omron project, the CIO factory, was inspired with the motto, no charity, but a chance. Omron has been continuously working towards creating and strengthening a more diverse and inclusive workforce. The organisation operates 2 production centres, Taiyo and Kyoto Taiyo, in Japan, where people with disabilities constitute the core workforce. Omron Taiyo was founded in 1972 as Japan's first factory designed with a strong focus on welfare, and has been working to promote the employment of people with disabilities throughout the 50 years of its inception. What makes Taiyo so groundbreaking is its approach to the employment of people with disabilities is not as a charitable project, but rather with the aim of creating opportunities for such people to capitalise on their own capabilities and to work and to gain independence. This is because Taiyo's founders believed that providing places for people with disabilities to work would be a benefit to society as a whole, and it'll make them much more of part of the mainstream. And last year, in celebrating 50 years, Omron Group unveiled their Shaping the Future 2030, a long-term vision for contributing to sustainable social and economic systems through empowering people through automation. So there's Omron's recognition that we're moving from continuous improvement, mechanical benefits, mechanical changes, and now digital has a role to play. They've been investing in it for such a long time, and now they're looking more at digital to support the accessibility within the factory. So when we look at the environment of tomorrow, so I guess for us, MESTEC is that our mission is enabling and inspiring the manufacturing environment of tomorrow. But what does that look like, and how will I know when I get there? They're good points to raise, and it gives us an opportunity to take what's in our heads and put it down on paper. We're not talking here about a fully realised world of Industry 4 and a future state of automated production facilities staffed mostly by multi-purpose robots. No, we're far more in the now than that, and instead of focusing our vision on enabling a dynamic mix of human operator, machine and data working to their fullest potential to help inspire impressive workforce productivity. So setting the objective by defining 3-step framework for what great looks like in the land of tomorrow. What's the manufacturing environment that will be built on a culture of continuous improvement, with all operators and processes constantly learning from and adapting to new operational experiences? And of course, this could be around accessibility. It could be around times that our different operators can be working. We can take into lots more consideration a lot more constraints that maybe we have done previously. Number 2, data and paper will flow across the production landscape. Data and not paper will flow across the production landscape. So driven by digital infrastructure that informs every decision and every resulting activity. And 3, both operators and managers are proactive in identifying potential problems in advance and in responding effectively to unexpected disruption. So this level of great corresponds to our kind of productivity maturity matrix. And with it comes estimated labour productivity savings of up to 80% that we've seen in some of our clients. So next comes the tools powering this kind of modern utopia. Front and centre sit capabilities responsible for maintaining the flow of real-time data across the factory, which in turn acts as the very platform on which the intelligent business is built. Following the data comes the hardware, digital devices in the form of tablets and screens, including those incorporated into machines, that have 2 important roles. One is the pull, where they replace manual paper-based processes for collecting data. For example, once an operator completes a task, he or she taps a screen rather than filling out a physical form. This is the data collection that's ubiquitous, simple to complete and enabled at the precise point of generation. An act that fits neatly with the process being followed by an individual operators rather than as an incongruous bolt-on. And the push where everything from training to experience tips for completing specific tasks is pushed out to operators to help them share best practice and to stimulate higher levels of right first time outcomes. These come in the form of instructional videos, photographs, work instructions, and they highlight specific job characteristics to help minimise the operator's need to manually seek out answers. So having that information at their fingertips, moving from hardware, let's come to software dimensions and the apps to be used for exploiting this real-time data goldmine. Apps like MESTEC that turn raw data into highly actionable intelligence. Key outputs here include smart planning that helps ensure that maximum resource utilization, real-time alerts to protect the production process, and anticipating resource requirements in advance, and then also identifying more obscure issues limiting workforce productivity. A proven tool like MESTEC or any MES can help you drill down into the underlying cause of poor performance to discover the trends and common obstacles responsible for recurring delays. These are capabilities that take you beyond which you know yourself and beyond which you don't know. To paraphrase Donald Rumsfeld, what you don't know, you don't know. Identifying the hidden factors indirectly impacting productivity. So what I want to do now is show you how in MESTEC we can do that. On to the next slide, please. Awesome. So here, just by absolute minimum amount of interaction from an operator, basically logging on, they have a work to list, and just by logging on when they log on a job and logging off at the end of a job, this is the amount of data and insights that we can secure to deduce big opportunities. So in the top left, we're looking at actual versus standard here. And in the top left, we can see on the right, on the left-hand side, we've got a big issue with, I can't quite see the number there. I think it's 809s with product number 809. So what is the issue with product 809? Is it standing out like this, actual versus demo standard so much because there's a real problem with it, or is it a long-term runner? Let's drill down a bit further. So then we go look at the top right-hand side of the screen, and we see that, well, 809s aren't great, but actually they're not so massively out of sync as we thought so in the first picture. So what is it that's unusual about 809s? Well, let's drill down a bit further, and then we go to the bottom left-hand of the screen there, and you can see that 809s are pink, and they are the sewing operation. And all of the other colours represent different parts of a workflow. So we see that 809s, but also, look, all the pinks and all the sewing operations are above the standard time. But interestingly enough, all the greens, which are quality operations, are all below the standard time. So we're starting to drill down into what is the key issue here. And when we drill down into 809s, we can see, look, Jill has a bit of a problem with 809s. So before I hear you in the audience saying, get rid of Jill, what you need to understand is that Jill, actually, let's drill down a bit further. If you go on to the next slide, Jill is one of the factory's best performers across the shop. She is brilliant at productivity, but the issue is she doesn't like 809s, or she's not very good at it, or she can't see it, or there's some physical reason why she's not able to do 809s. So then, as management, we have the opportunity at that point to, do we give her more training? Or actually, do we just manage her work path so that she never has to actually do 809s? Or do we put her with somebody who does 809s really well? Or do we give her some mechanism or some ability to be able to do 809s well? So that's just a little demonstration how using data, and the smallest amount of data that comes from manual operations, but it's put into a digital form, we can help us to deduce and to identify potential accessibility issues on the shop floor and be able to really focus on them. and do something about them. What we've found here is we may have the MES, which is looking at time and time in motion, but also we might think, well, why don't we use why don't we get some AR glasses or some VR glasses with the work instruction on? Or why don't we incorporate a cobot into the operation? So we find that having IoT and different mechanisms, different digital technologies loaded into one place, we end up with digital overload, because it's not just one system, and we don't just have to understand one system, but there's lots of systems being integrated. And that's where we get to talk about the awesome project that is COREF, and I shall hand back to Oase.
Thank you, Nicole. So Connected Reconfigurable Factory is an Innovate UK funded project led by Thales and supported by research organizations like NMIS, MTC, and ITC, with the technology providers MESTEC, BitsList, KX, and C2K. We took the approach of ensuring that any technology that we bring in is integrated into the business layer of your MES layer. So when we deploy technologies, they're not isolated and siloed. That creates an increased IT cost for you, but everything is communicating and you're able to assess the performance of the technology, and you're able to manage one system, which is your MES layer. So here you can see the cobot working with the operator to help with the installation of bolts, but the cobot's work instructions are coming from the MES. Same with the smart torque tooling. The torque tooling values are integrated into the MESTEC. So when a worker books on the task, the right work instructions are right torque values are sent over. When the right values are sent over, the right instructions are projected down by an augmented reality system like Archide. All these operations that you're seeing in terms of the cobots, they are all linked to the business layer. And from a business point of view, you're managing one system. This is the vision system, enables automated quality systems, so it provides worker with additional benefits of understanding the product is right, but providing that information back into the MES layer. So here you can see the worker is about to book onto a task. They're able to request if they would like projected work instructions. Now they have the projected work instructions that would guide them to carry out the right job, and it would not allow them to move on to the next work instructions before they complete the task they've been assigned for. All of these information provide accessibility for the worker, as they're able to understand even a most complex operation by having a personal support from these technologies to enable them to be more productive at work and be more confident at work. We have looked at the whole network architecture to ensure every technology that we do develop is closely linked into the business layer by communicating from the technology back into your MES for it. And this Innovate UK funded project. And if any companies that would be interested in getting involved, we would love to hear from you, and we'll be interested in showcasing the technology to everyone. So what are our recommendations? Our recommendations are analyze shop floor performance through business tools, digitize your shop floor performance, digitize them through either MES tools like MESTEC or any other MES provider. Engage with your employees, learn about the current support, areas of improvements. When you understand where the investment is needed, have an approach of accessibility and inclusive as a methodology to deploy small scale solutions, and then measure those results through MES. when you're looking at deploying these technologies, ensure that whoever your technology integrator is, whoever the technology provider is, one of the requirement is that they integrate the technology into your business. So you're managing deployment, step-by-step deployment of from cobots to AR to smart assistants to VR, but they're all communicating on your business level. So you're able to assess the ROI on it, assess how people are interacting with those technologies, and assess the productivity for the business moving forward. There's still a lot of research to be done in this field. We hope to collaborate with more people and help make the sector a bit more accessible, a bit more inclusive, and help bridge the talent gap. Thank you for listening. I've been joined by Nicole. My name is Owais, and we'll be happy to answer any questions now. Okay, stop sharing. So do we have any questions?
Don't see any at all on the chat box, Avis. But
Can the participants can the participants talk?
Yes, so is that Steve? Bear with me just a second.
I'm just I can see Jill McBride is on, and she's in charge of the Interact network, and I know that Interact very much looks at the people side of digital. If Jill, you want to talk.
Okay, let me just get Jill.
Okay,
Jill's
Jill's put, yeah.
Yep. You should be able to speak, Jill.
I think I can talk now. Can you hear me?
You can.
Thanks very much. No, thank you both for a really interesting talk. I've just put my own question in the chat, actually. As Nicole says correctly, I'm involved with the Interact network, which is all about digital transformation in manufacturing. And one of the things I'm really interested in is the people aspect and how it affects the future of work, and inclusivity is something very close to my own heart. Something we come up against time and time again, Nicole, is people asking about the investment and the business case. And you talked about some really interesting things that, you know, that can help with inclusivity. But quite often the small business will say to us, that sounds expensive. You know, you were talking about sensors and VR headsets and things. Any good examples or things that you would say to people when they come back with questions like that?
Good question. And hello.
Nice to see you again.
I would say that being able to justify through a business case. So the example that I gave of Jill, who, you know, we all thought was the demon and was the really bad productive
I thought
worker.
you were picking on me there, Nicole.
No, the Jill in my example. And you know, using data and being able to drill down, we could ascertain what the issue there was, what the problem was, and by using that data, we can build a business case. I guess the problem is it's very hard to build a business case before you've actually got the data. And this is what we find when we are selling MESTEC. We talk in depth with the client about what their pain points are, what's really important to them. And it's, as I say, it's and I've said it a couple of times already, it's not about digitalization for digitalization. So it's not because we want to do Industry 4. It's because there's pain points, there's needs, there might be legislation, there may be some reason that needs to be overcome. And there's always a financial ticket on those things. So if you have to I don't know, implement some sort of legislative requirement, if you're then going to go out of business, you know, it's an absolute must to be, what's that value to you? In the case of Jill, in our example, you know, by upskilling her or actually avoiding her not working on those that particular part, you know, it's much easier when we've got the data to back it up to make the business case. But by understanding our customers before they implement a MES, then we are very successful at identifying, and most of our clients receive upwards of 5 times their investment month on month.
Exactly, and I think that's something we need to be collecting some nice examples there, so we can prove to people that the investment's worth it. I mean, certainly in my experience, we're finding so many employers are struggling to attract and retain talent. And when you think about all the cost of having to, you know, recruit and so on, I think it's an easy case to make, but we've just got to have more examples to hand, I think. So you can find, fire them over to me and we can start to build some of these cases, Nicole.
Yeah. We should have a coffee anyway, but yeah. So I see a question there from Steve Thompson. Great question, and one that we were kind of trying to answer, but I would say what MES does, it provides a platform to hold all the manufacturing data. So it could be from IIoT, it could be from electronic data checks, it could be scrap information, it could be schedule adherence, it could be labour productivity. But what the MES provides is a common platform for all of that data to be housed, and then from that, you can interrogate that data to build business cases. So yeah, what you don't want to do is set off on a path that can only hold a small subset of information. And what we try to illustrate through the COREF project is that actually plugging into a MES, it can be quite. There'll never be, or no, I can't say never be. There isn't at the moment plug and play. You know, if all our technology was just as easy to connect as when you open your Apple and your Apple products all talk to each other, that would be great. But what we've tried to do in the COREF project is illustrate that connectivity is quite simple, and we've tried to connect as many different technologies into the MES, and the MES being that kind of operating system, so the guys in the factory only have to really understand fully the MES, and the other bits plug in. Does that answer your question, Steve? Well, let's have another conversation about how you can integrate into MES for sure. Drop me a line.
Here's another one by Hugh Thomas. People, process, technology. Think big, take small steps, move fast. Do these mantras ring true in your view, and are they helpful to keep in mind or not?
Do you want me to answer? So
yes.
Yeah, well, I'll have a go and then you have a go. So I would say small steps, absolutely. It has to be. It has to be a phased approach. And actually, if you start small and then you start to build, so maybe you start with one line or one cell, and at the absolute minimum, log on to jobs, log off jobs. Start to build that data, start to build it. And when you see that it's giving you information, you'll find out that there's some information missing that you really, really want. And so then you'll start to collect that data and that information. So absolutely, small steps, but a clear long-term vision about where you want to get to, and make sure you've got a roadmap to get you there. Always.
Yes, and definitely. And I'll add to that as by taking those small steps, you'll start engaging your employees. So they will see the initiatives your company is taking, and they will come back with more ideas. And then you can really help galvanize your employees as well to start really supporting that initiative. Next question by Marisa Smith. Are there any trade-offs between use of digital technologies and accessibility and inclusion? I can start off by this is just in terms of digital technology, these are just tools. So like you said, Nicole, starting off by understanding what the challenges are and understanding how those improvements can be made to make the shop floor more accessible. You would need to evaluate how does the digital support that initiative. Next question by Francisco Pena. What would be the biggest challenges for a digital workplace? Data storage, security. Nicole, I'll let you start this off.
Well, as Francisco is one of our clients from Agreco. Hi, Francisco. It's a shame you can't come on. You could probably offer lots of insight into this about what the biggest challenge has been for you. What we said, what are the biggest challenges? I personally think the biggest challenge is people. So Awais, you just mentioned it. Jill's doing a whole research project, has got a whole network around it. Because if we don't take the people with us, then the systems won't work. We still need the intelligence of people on the shop floor, and we still need and we need them to interact with these systems to be able to provide the data. And I'm sure that Steve said the biggest challenge is not doing anything. Yeah. But yeah, for sure, I would say it's around people. Data storage. For us, all our data is held on the cloud. So in terms of the kind of the investment for our clients, it's all part of being on the MESTEC platform. And security, well, we've had lots of conversations about security, and I know that we have upgraded our platform. So we got multi-factor authentication in our latest version, single sign-on, to come aligned with some of the data security requirements that are kind of being imposed on people. I know that there is a lot of conversation around is data more secure in the cloud or on-prem? I think those conversations will continue. I don't think there's a definitive answer, and I don't know it for sure. But Francisco, I'd be interested in your view on what you see as the biggest challenge. Awais, have you got an answer on that one?
So in terms of the challenge, yeah, I guess it's the people, the business integration, like how understanding the architecture of your enterprise to see how when you roll out digital technologies, you're not increasing the overhead of IT burden on it, and challenges around security. I guess there's organizations there to support the companies, help manage the security level. I remember what's the government's initiative around digital securities. I believe there's offerings support around it. If I find the right name, I'll post it on this chat.
So Hugh is asking, are there any communities and forums events that you can recommend to plug into to help our Scottish facilities develop this? Well, I think by being here, yay, step number 1, small steps, you're on the journey. As far as other support in Scotland, Awais?
And let's start with us. We are mandated by the Scottish government and the UK government to support then companies like yourself. So engage with us, and we're a national body. We will look at working with you and help you find the right funding opportunities as well. So the funding is available from Innovate UK and like Ailing, Seed, Scottish and Engineering, Interact from Jill. There's a lot of organizations. By getting in touch with like us, like NMIS or other organizations, we can point you in the right direction. If you're not able to help, we can point you in the right directions, and able to leverage the whole national network of research organizations that are there to support and help companies like yourself.
Is there a Scottish manufacturing advisory service as well?
Yes, SMAS. Yes, good shout. SMAS is another organization.
We don't have one of those in England anymore, but yours lives on.
They do fantastic work and help companies with that journey from lean to digital. Any more questions? Yes, Aileen said Scottish Enterprise include digital transformation, and SPAS also provide impartial advisory support. If there's no more questions, you can get in touch with us after through our email. And if you have any questions around our Innovate UK project COREF, get in touch. We have a facility in Belfast that's open, will be open for companies to kind of engage the technologies and trial it out. We'll be happy to support you in that journey. I will pass on to Debbie now. Thank you for joining this webinar.
Thank you.
That's great. Thanks very much, Avis. Just like to thank everyone for taking time to join us today. Hope you enjoyed the webinar, and we would like to thank Nicole from MESTEC for participating and presenting today, and thanks to Avis from NMIS. And we'll just stop the recording and bring the webinar to a close. Thanks again, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you all. Take care. Bye-bye.